The night was unusually quiet at the alien base. Tall, gray structures reached into the sky, their surfaces glowing faintly with strange lights. The air was still, but inside the barracks, the aliens moved with a constant hum of confidence. They believed nothing could disturb their carefully guarded perimeter. Nothing except her. From a distance, a small figure approached. At first, she looked like a shadow against the dim glow of the base. Nothing more. But as she moved closer, her presence became impossible to ignore. The human girl, alone and fearless, leaped over the first wall with a grace that seemed impossible. Her feet barely made a sound as they hit the ground on the other side. Inside the command room, alien officers paused. "What is that?" one of them asked, his voice low and sharp. "It cannot be," another said, shaking his head. "No human has ever breached our perimeter. This must be a trap." Outside, the girl crouched low, scanning the ground. She had trained for this moment. Every detail of the alien base was burned into her memory. Weak points in the walls, the timing of the patrols, the blind spots of the security cameras. But even she did not underestimate the aliens. They were dangerous, clever, and fast. The first patrol rounded the corner, their armor clanking loudly. The girl froze for a second, watching, calculating. Then, with a sudden burst of speed, she rolled forward, narrowly avoiding a beam of light that shot toward her. The aliens shouted and fired again, but she was gone, disappearing into shadows, as if she had melted into the night itself. The patrol stopped. "Where did she go?" one of them barked. "Spinning around." "She vanished," another said. "Impossible. Humans cannot move like that." Back in the command room, tension filled the air. Alien commanders leaned over holographic displays, trying to track her. Red blips flashed across the screen, but they were fleeting and scattered. The girl was already inside the first perimeter of the base, moving with the precision of shadow. She ducked behind a supply crate and peeked around. Her heart raced, but not with fear. She was calm. Every movement was planned, every decision measured. She had one goal tonight, and nothing, not the aliens, not the alarms, not even the darkness itself, would stop her. Another patrol moved closer. This one was bigger, armed with energy rifles that glowed a bright green. The girl tensed, ready to spring. As they passed, she leaped, twisting the air to avoid a sweeping beam from their weapons. She landed silently behind them and pressed herself against the wall. Her breathing was steady. She could hear their footsteps, their frustrated mutters, their disbelief that a human could move so fast, so quietly. Suddenly, a loud alarm blared through the base. Red lights flashed, casting long shadows across the walls. The aliens panicked. Orders shouted in alien tongues echoed through the halls. "Find her. Do not let her escape. She is not alone." The girl did not hesitate. She sprinted toward the central building, her boots barely making a sound on the cold metal floor. Each step was calculated. She could feel the eyes of the aliens on her, even if they could not see her. Their fear was almost palpable, and she used it. Inside the command center, one of the alien officers slammed his clawed hand against a console. "This cannot be happening. A single human has infiltrated our base." "Do not underestimate her," another officer said. "Humans are clever, but they are fragile. We have numbers, weapons, strategy. We will find her." Outside, the girl paused behind a stack of crates. She could hear them moving in formation, searching systematically. But she had a different plan. She was not just running. She was leading them, guiding them into mistakes. A trap, carefully set but unseen. She leaped over a railing, landing on a narrow ledge that ran along the side of the barracks. Below her, a patrol crossed, their weapons scanning. One step wrong, and she could be hit. But her balance was perfect. Her body moved like water, smooth and controlled. She slid down a pipe, landing silently behind another group of aliens. The aliens shouted in frustration. Their numbers were large, their weapons deadly, but their confidence was shattered. No one had ever done this before. No one had ever dared. And the human girl was doing it alone. She reached a corner and crouched, listening. The next patrol would pass directly in front of her. She held her breath, counting the steps, timing the movements. As they passed, she leaped, spinning through the air, landing behind them. Her agility was unmatched, her speed unnerving. Inside the barracks, soldiers whispered. "Did you see that?" one asked. "She is impossible." "Impossible or not, she is here," another said, his voice tight with fear. "We cannot fail. We must stop her." The girl pressed on, moving toward the central storage area. She needed to reach the energy core, not to destroy it. Not tonight. Not yet. But she needed to leave her mark, to show the aliens that humans were not weak, that they could fight, even alone, even against overwhelming odds. Another alarm sounded. The girl froze, listening. This one was different, louder, closer. The aliens were converging, surrounding her. She was outnumbered, but not outsmarted. She slipped into a vent, crawling quickly through the narrow metal tunnel. Every twist and turn, every sharp corner, she moved with precision. The vent opened into a room filled with strange machines. The girl stepped carefully, avoiding the moving arms of a robotic maintenance unit. She glanced at a control panel. Numbers flashed, lights blinked. She memorized everything she could, knowing it might help humans one day. Suddenly, a hatch opened behind her. An alien patrol entered the room. She ducked behind a large container, holding her breath. One of the aliens moved closer, its glowing eyes scanning. She could hear its claws scraping against the metal floor. Then, in a single swift motion, she rolled from her hiding spot, knocked the panel over, creating a loud crash. The aliens turned, startled, but she had already slipped through the side exit, vanishing again into the darkness. Outside, the alien base was in chaos. Sirens blared, lights flashed, and soldiers shouted orders. The commanders were frantic, their strategy unraveling with every second. The human girl had done what no human had done before. She had entered their most secure area and escaped without a scratch. The girl crouched on a rooftop, looking down at the base below. Her heart beat steadily, but her mind raced with plans. She was not done. This was only the beginning. The aliens, confused and frightened, began scanning the rooftops, trying to anticipate her next move. She will not escape for long. One commander said, "We will find her." But the girl smiled faintly. She knew something they did not. Her speed, her agility, her intelligence, they could not match. And tonight, she had shown them a truth they could not ignore. Humans were not weak. Humans were not defenseless. Humans could be unstoppable. She leaped again, disappearing from sight, leaving the alien base in panic. The night swallowed her figure, silent and swift. And as the alarm continued to blare, the aliens realized that this human girl was not just a visitor. She was a force they could not predict, a force that would challenge everything they thought they knew about humans. The unexpected turning point had arrived, and the aliens, for the first time in their history, feared what a single human could do. The alien base was in chaos. Red alarms blared, echoing to the metallic halls, and the once calm, confident soldiers moved frantically. Officers barked orders in their sharp, guttural language, their claws slamming against consoles, their glowing eyes scanning the holographic maps for any sign of the intruder. No human should have reached this point, his commander Thrall, his voice tight with rage. He leaned over a glowing display, claws tracing the blinking red blips that mark her unpredictable movements. "We are trained for war. We have machines, weapons, sensors everywhere. Yet she moves as if she is untouchable." Another officer, smaller but equally sharp-eyed, spoke cautiously. "Sir, perhaps it is a decoy, a distraction. Humans are clever, yes, but they are fragile. One human alone cannot survive our defenses." Thrall slammed a claw on the console. Sparks flew. "Fragile? Do not underestimate humans again. We have seen what they can do. This one, she is different. She is calculating. She does not act like the others." Outside, the human girl crouched on the edge of a rooftop, observing the aliens as they tried to organize. Her breathing was calm. She had studied their patterns, anticipated their patrol rotations. Yet even she felt a thrill of tension. She could sense that these aliens were different, intelligent, adaptive, dangerous. This was no ordinary infiltration. Every second she spent inside this base carried risk, yet she thrived on it. Below, the aliens formed perimeter, a wide net designed to corner her. Patrols moved cautiously, their steps synchronized like a deadly dance. They did not know which way she would move next. Every path seemed too predictable. Yet somehow she made it unpredictable. Their frustration grew with each failed attempt. Back in the command center, Thrall barked another order. We must anticipate her thinking. Study her, understand her patterns. She will not make the same mistake twice. Split the units. Surround her from all sides. Another officer spoke hesitantly. Sir, what if she is more than human? What if this is an elite agent? A warrior sent deliberately to test us? Thrall's eyes narrowed. Then we will learn why. If she is an agent, she will leave traces. We will track her every move. Nothing escapes our sensors. Nothing escapes our notice. Meanwhile, the girl moved silently across the rooftops. She leaped from one building to another, her movements precise, almost fluid. She could feel the tension radiating from the aliens below. They were panicked, unorganized, and their fear worked to her advantage. She had no weapons, no armor, only her body, her mind, and her training. Yet that was enough. She paused on a ledge, overlooking patrol. The aliens scanned the area, oblivious to her presence just meters above them. Her eyes flicked to a weak point in their formation, a narrow gap where two patrol units' vision overlapped. She crouched low, timing her movements. Then, in a single swift motion, she jumped, flipping over patrols and landing behind them. The alien screamed, firing wildly. She had vanished again, leaving nothing but confusion and chaos in her wake. Inside the command room, Thrall slammed his clawed hand against the console. Enough! Deploy the trackers. Activate the drones. We will not let her escape. A new officer, young and nervous, hesitated. Sir, the drones will alert her. She is already too fast. Perhaps we should wait, observe. Thrall turned on him, eyes glowing. We do not wait. We act. We are the superior species in this sector. No human, no single human, can outsmart us. Find her. Now. Outside, the girl had reached a ventilation shaft leading toward the heart of the base. She slipped inside silently, crawling through the narrow metal tubes. The sound of her breathing was quiet, but her mind raced. Every turn, every junction she had memorized. This was her path to the central systems, the place where she could cause maximum disruption without being seen. But the aliens were learning. Drones hovered near the shaft entrances, scanning for movement. Sensors beeped, lights flashed. She paused, pressing her body against the cool metal, feeling the vibrations in the vent as the drones moved overhead. Then, with careful timing, she darted forward, slipping past the sensors like a shadow in the night. The aliens outside argued, their voices echoing. She cannot be human. Look at how she moves. She is unnatural. She is still human. Thrall shouted, do not let your fear blind you. Humans are fragile. Her tricks are clever, but they are still tricks. Adapt. Adjust. Do not let her escape. The girl emerged from a vent into a large storage area filled with alien machinery. Machines hummed and clicked, their lights casting eerie glows across the room. She paused, scanning the area. She knew the patrols would be coming soon, and she needed to move fast. A patrol entered the room, their weapons raised. They did not see her immediately. She pressed herself against a large container, barely breathing. One of the aliens stepped closer, its glowing eyes scanning. She held her position, waiting for the perfect moment. Then, in a sudden burst of speed, she rolled out from her hiding spot, knocking over a stack of crates. The noise drew the aliens' attention, but by the time they reacted, she had already slipped through a side exit, disappearing again into the darkness. The aliens pursued, but the girl led them into confusion. She doubled back, using shadows, machinery, and the complex layout of the base to her advantage. Every move was designed to mislead, to frustrate, to make the aliens doubt themselves. Inside the command center, Thrall's face glowed with frustration. She is mocking us. Every step she takes, she shows us our weaknesses. How can one human have such power? Another officer suggested cautiously, "Perhaps she is not acting alone. Perhaps there are others we do not see. Allies, humans hiding in the shadows." Thrall's eyes narrowed. "Then we find them too. No one escapes. No one. She will reveal herself, eventually, and when she does, we will be ready." The girl paused on a high platform overlooking a patrol corridor. She could see the aliens organizing below, preparing for another search. She had no weapons, yet she held an invisible power over them. Fear, uncertainty, chaos. A small smile touched her lips. She was alone, yet she had turned the strongest, most confident aliens into frantic, panicked soldiers. And this was only the beginning. As she leaped across the platform, landing silently on the other side, a loud clanging sound echoed through the base. One of the alien patrols had triggered a loose panel, sending sparks flying. The girl froze for a moment, calculating. This could either be an opportunity or disaster. She chose opportunity. She ran toward the central communications hub, her movements fluid, almost like a shadow dancing in the light. Patrols screamed, weapons fired, drones hovered, yet she remained untouchable. Every turn, every leap, every dash was precise. She was a storm contained in a human body, and the aliens were caught in its path. Inside the command room, Thrall shouted again, "Activate the security nets. Lock down the central hub. She cannot reach the heart of our systems." Outside, the girl paused just outside the hub. She could hear the faint hum of power, see the blinking lights of the consoles. Her plan was simple. Enter, leave a mark, create confusion, and show the aliens that humans were not to be underestimated. A patrol approached from the left, another from the right. She pressed herself against the wall, timing their movements. Then, in a single, flowing motion, she leaped over both patrols, landing silently inside the hub. The aliens froze, unable to comprehend what had just happened. One of the drones hovered closer, scanning her. She remained motionless, almost invisible. Then, with a quick flick of her wrist, she triggered a small device she had carried. The consoles blinked, lights flickered, alarms went wild, and the base plunged into a brief moment of chaos. Outside, the patrol screamed in frustration. Inside the command center, Thrall slammed his claw against the console. "She has reached the hub. How? How is this possible?" The girl did not wait. She had made her point. Humans were not weak. Humans were not helpless. And a single human, even without weapons, could challenge the mightiest of aliens. As she slipped out of the hub and disappeared into the shadows once more, the aliens realized something terrifying. They were no longer in control. Every move they made, every command they issued, was anticipated, countered, and mocked by one human girl. And in that moment, the alien commanders understood the truth. The unexpected turning point had arrived. Humans were not just survivors. Humans could be unstoppable. The girl crouched on a rooftop, watching the aliens scramble below, her eyes calm, her mind sharp. She had survived the first wave. She had outsmarted the patrols. And she had shown the aliens what humans could do. But this was only the beginning. The real challenge was still ahead, and the aliens had no idea what was coming next. The alien base had become a storm of red lights, alarms, and frantic movement. Soldiers ran in every direction. Drones hovered in every hallway, and the command room was filled with the sharp cries of officers trying to regain control. But no matter how many patrols they sent, no matter how fast their drones moved, she was always one step ahead. The human girl crouched atop a metallic wall, her eyes scanning the chaos below. The patrols were coordinating, moving carefully now, trying to corner her. But she was clever. She had studied every route, every blind spot, every structural flaw. She knew exactly how to manipulate their expectations. Her first move was a leap across the base's wide central courtyard. The aliens on patrol thought she would duck or crawl along the edges. Instead, she vaulted high, spinning in midair, and landed silently behind a stack of alien vehicles. Her boots barely made a sound, and her landing disturbed nothing. A patrol nearby froze, their glowing eyes scanning. "There! She is there!" one shouted. She rolled, ducking behind a large crate just in time to avoid a sweeping beam of light from their energy rifles. The patrols fired blindly, their beams scorching the walls and the ground, but missing her completely. The girl pressed herself against the crate, listening to their movements. She could hear their heavy footsteps, the metallic clank of armor, the low growl of their voices as they tried to coordinate. They thought they were organized. They thought they had a plan. But she knew chaos could be a weapon, and she wielded it like a blade. From above, drones circled, scanning the courtyard. Their sensors flickered with red light, trying to detect movement. She waited, counting the drone's patterns, memorizing the gaps. Then, with a burst of speed, she dashed across the open space, sliding under a sweeping beam and leaping onto a narrow ledge. Her body was fluid, almost impossible to follow with the eye. The aliens below screamed and fired, but she had already vanished from sight. Their confusion grew with every second, their frustration boiling. Inside the command room, Commander Thrall slammed his claws against the table. Enough! She cannot keep evading us. Deploy the interceptors. Block every exit. She will not escape this time. Sir, one officer hesitated. We are losing control. Every move she makes, every step, is faster than our calculations. We cannot predict her. What if she is more than human? Thrall's eyes glowed brighter. We will adapt. She will make a mistake. And when she does, we will strike. Nothing escapes us. Nothing. The girl paused on a ledge above, observing the new patrols being deployed. They were trying new formation, a tighter cordon, more drones, more soldiers. Their movements were deliberate, predictable. She smiled faintly. They were still learning, still reacting to her, still falling into her rhythm. She leaped again, twisting in the air to avoid a scanning beam. Her landing was silent, almost elegant, on a platform high above the alien vehicles. From this vantage point, she could see the chaos spread like fire through the base. Soldiers shouted, weapons fired, alarms echoed, yet she remained calm, untouched, untouchable. Then, she saw her next opportunity. A narrow catwalk ran along the side of the barracks, leading directly toward the base's energy supply room. It was heavily guarded, but she had memorized every detail. The timing of patrols, the location of sensors, even the shadows cast by the lights. She crouched, then sprinted along the catwalk, her feet barely touching the surface. A patrol appeared at the far end. She did not hesitate. With perfect timing, she jumped over the railing, landing on a lower platform just behind them. The soldiers turned, firing wildly, but she had already disappeared again. The chase was no longer just a pursuit. It had become a game of anticipation. The aliens tried to predict her, but every pattern they assumed was shattered the moment she acted. Every path they blocked, she found a new one. Every sensor they activated, she slipped past. One alien patrol, frustrated, attempted to cut her off by taking a shortcut through a side corridor. She anticipated it, darting across the walls, landing silently above them, and watching as they passed below, unaware of her presence. Her mind raced, calculating, adjusting, always one step ahead. Inside the command room, Thrall's voice rose in fury. Increase the security nets. Activate all turrets. Do not let her leave this sector. Another officer added, Sir, we may need to call reinforcements from the outer sectors. If she continues at this pace, she could reach the core systems before we contain her. Thrall's eyes narrowed. Do it, but keep your focus. She will make a mistake. Every human eventually does. And when she does, we will be ready. The girl was already moving toward the energy supply room. She could hear the faint hum of power, see the lights flickering across the machinery. She needed to leave a mark, a warning, something that would shake the aliens' confidence. A patrol emerged from a doorway directly in her path. She ducked behind a crate, watching, timing their steps. Then, with a sudden leap, she vaulted over them, spinning in the air and landing silently on the other side. The aliens fired, but her shadow had already disappeared. She paused briefly to catch her breath, then noticed a series of wires leading from a main energy console. A brilliant idea sparked in her mind. She could sabotage the base, not destroy it, not tonight, but send a message. The aliens needed to know that humans were not weak. She moved swiftly, connecting a small device she had carried. Sparks flew, alarms screamed louder, and red lights pulsed across the base. Patrols froze, drones hovered, and the command center erupted in confusion. The aliens scrambled, trying to understand what had happened. Their sensors were disrupted, their systems blinking in and out. Thrall slammed his claws against the table. She has reached the energy supply. Impossible. How did she do it? We have every exit blocked. Outside, the girl watched the chaos. She had achieved what she came for. She had shown the aliens that humans could fight back, even alone. She had proven that skill, intelligence, and courage were weapons more powerful than brute force. But the chase was not over. The aliens were relentless, and now they would adapt. Patrols reorganized, drones adjusted their scanning patterns, and the command room buzzed with activity. They were learning from her, preparing for her next move. She leaped again, moving along the rooftops, her movements fluid, almost graceful, yet deadly in their precision. Every step, every jump, every roll was calculated to mislead, confuse, and frustrate the aliens. A patrol tried to flank her from the left. She twisted midair, landing on the opposite side, her shadow disappearing into the night. Another patrol moved in from the right. She pressed herself against the wall, timing their movements, then darted forward, slipping past them unnoticed. The base had become a maze, and she was the master of it. The aliens tried to anticipate her, but every prediction failed. Every plan they made was undone by her speed, her intelligence, her unpredictability. Inside the command room, Thrall's face glowed with anger. She is mocking us. Every step she takes is a challenge. We cannot lose control. We must find her. Now! The girl crouched on a high platform, looking down at the flurry of alien activity. She could see the fear in their eyes, the frustration in their movements, the chaos that her presence had created. She smiled faintly. One human alone had turned their stronghold into a battlefield of confusion. She leaped from the platform, landing silently in a shadowed corridor. Patrols rushed past, weapons raised, yet she moved like a ghost. The chase had begun, and the aliens were already losing. The human girl had proven one thing tonight. Speed, intelligence, and courage could overcome even the most organized, most powerful alien force. And as she disappeared into the darkness, the aliens realized something terrifying. They were no longer in control. She had turned the hunt into her own game, and every move she made brought them closer to the realization that humans were not just survivors. They were a force to be reckoned with. The alien base was in utter chaos. Red alarms blared, lights flickered, and patrols scrambled like ants caught in a sudden storm. Commander Thrall's claws slammed repeatedly against the holographic table as he tried to regain control, but every action they took only seemed to deepen their disorder. They are faster than expected, one officer admitted, fear creeping into his voice. She is not ordinary. Not ordinary? Thrall's eyes narrowed, glowing brighter. Do you now understand? One human has infiltrated our defenses, disabled key systems, and outmaneuvered our best soldiers. That is extraordinary. That is a threat. Find her. Now. The human girl crouched on the edge of the central tower, overlooking the base. From her vantage point, she could see every patrol, every drone, every alien soldier struggling to locate her. Her calm mind was already calculating her next moves. Every second counted. She had one goal tonight, one mission that had driven her across the galaxy to this enemy base. Her target was not just disruption, it was liberation. Deep within the heart of the base, humans, captives from previous raids, were held in dark cells, restrained by energy bindings and monitored by alien guards. They were frightened, confused, and alone. Her mission was simple in words, but dangerous in execution. Free them, sabotage the alien war effort, and remind the universe that humans could never be underestimated. She descended carefully from the tower, moving along a narrow catwalk that overlooked the central courtyard. Patrols passed beneath her, unaware of the shadow moving above. She crouched behind a ventilation pipe, listening to the faint chatter of alien guards. Every word, every tone, gave her clues. She was not just reacting. She was anticipating, predicting, and setting the pace of this hunt. The first guard she encountered was distracted, repairing a flickering console. She slipped past silently, her boots barely making a sound. The second guard turned just in time to catch a glimpse of her silhouette. He raised his weapon, but she leaped, spinning through the air, landing behind him. A swift push, and he stumbled into a railing, stunned but unharmed. She moved on. The corridors narrowed and the tension thickened. Energy barriers pulsed intermittently, scanning for movement. One wrong step, one miscalculation, and she would be trapped, or worse. She paused, observing the timing of the barriers, then darted through during a brief lull. Her body moved like water, flowing through obstacles, unseen, untouchable. Finally, she reached the holding cells. The doors were reinforced, energy shields humming along their edges. Guards patrolled in pairs, but they were unaware that she was already analyzing the locks, memorizing their sequence, and preparing a bypass. She pressed a small device against the first panel. Sparks flew, lights blinked, and the shield flickered. The door slid open silently, revealing the first human captive. The man inside looked at her in disbelief. "You're real," he whispered. She smiled faintly. "I'm here to get you out. Stay quiet. Follow me." As more cells opened, the captives emerged cautiously. The girl moved quickly, leading them through hidden vents and narrow corridors, always aware of patrols and sensors. Every step was calculated to avoid confrontation, yet always ready for defense if needed. The aliens were not slow to respond. Thrall's voice roared through the command room. "She has reached the holding cells. Deploy the elite units. Block all exits. Stop her." Outside, patrols and drones converged toward the inner corridors. But the girl anticipated them, using shadows, vents, and abandoned maintenance tunnels to stay ahead. Each movement frustrated the aliens further, their frustration growing into panic. She reached a junction where two corridors met. A squad of guards moved in from one side. A drone hovered from above. Without hesitation, she leaped, rolling through a low passage and using a side tunnel that led toward the energy core. Behind her, the freed captives followed, their fear slowly turning into hope. The alien soldiers realized the audacity of the situation. One of them shouted, "She is leading them out! Stop her!" But their words were meaningless. She had calculated every step, every patrol, every drone, every sensor. They were all predictable once their patterns were understood, and she understood them all. The freed humans were weak, frightened, and inexperienced, but she guided them, whispering instructions, keeping them silent, and moving them along a safe path. She was not just a fighter. She was a leader, a strategist, and a symbol of hope. As they approached the energy core, she noticed another opportunity. The core powered much of the base's defenses. A brief disruption could create confusion, giving them more time to escape. She connected a small device, careful not to trigger alarms too soon. Sparks flew, lights flickered, and patrols hesitated. Chaos spread through the corridors as systems malfunctioned temporarily. The girl led the humans through the maze-like passages, each turn and leap pushing them closer to the exit. Patrols shouted, drones hovered, but they could not reach her. She had turned the base itself into a weapon against its occupiers, using every flaw, every pattern, every weak point to her advantage. Suddenly, a squad of elite soldiers appeared ahead. They were taller, stronger, armed with heavy energy rifles. The humans froze, terrified. The girl stepped forward, her eyes sharp, her mind racing. She knew she could not fight them all head-on. Instead, she used speed and agility. She dodged the first volley of energy blasts, rolled under the next, and vaulted over the squad. The aliens fired wildly, but she moved like a shadow, weaving between beams, disappearing, reappearing, always one step ahead. One of the soldiers lunged at her, but she sidestepped, using his momentum to send him crashing into a wall. The others hesitated, unsure how to engage her. The humans followed closely, inspired by her fearlessness. Each step they took was guided, protected by her skill. They were no longer captives. They were part of the mission, part of the resistance, part of a force that defied expectation. Thrall watched from the command room, his eyes blazing. She is not just attacking, she is freeing them. She is changing everything. Stop her. Outside, the girl led the group toward the outer corridors, closer to the escape route she had memorized. She knew one more obstacle awaited, the final checkpoint, guarded by the most skilled aliens and reinforced with energy barriers. It would be dangerous, but necessary. She crouched behind a crate, observing, planning, and waiting for the perfect moment. When the patrol moved away, she acted. She dashed forward, moving quickly, flipping over barriers, rolling under beams, and using her agility to create distance. The humans followed, inspired by her confidence, moving silently, carefully, yet quickly. The checkpoint approached. The elite guard blocked their path, their weapons ready. The girl paused for only a second, assessing. Then, with a sudden burst, she leaped over the barriers, landing behind the guards. With a swift motion, she knocked them off balance, creating an opening for humans to pass. The aliens tried to recover, but the girl's speed and planning left them one step behind. The humans ran, hearts pounding, fear replaced by adrenaline and hope. The girl followed last, ensuring none were left behind, her eyes scanning every corner, every shadow, every possible threat. Finally, they reached the outer perimeter. The walls loomed high, but the girl had memorized the weak points. With one swift leap, she cleared the wall, landing outside the base with the humans in tow. The alarms blared behind them, but they were already in the darkness, moving toward freedom. The aliens were left in chaos, unable to comprehend what had just happened. Their most secure base, their elite soldiers, their advanced technology, none could stop one human girl. The girl crouched in the shadows, watching the base from a safe distance. Her mission had succeeded. The humans were freed, the base disrupted, and a clear message had been sent. Humans were not weak. Humans were clever, brave, and unstoppable when they needed to be. Thrall's voice echoed in her mind, though he could not see her. She is extraordinary, one human, and she has undone everything. How could we fight a species like this? The girl smiled faintly, but she did not linger. The mission was not over. There would be more challenges, more battles, more obstacles. But tonight, she revealed the truth. Humans were a force that could not be ignored, a force that could strike fear even into the strongest alien empire. And as the darkness swallowed her and the freed humans moved towards safety, the girl knew that the real fight, the one that would decide the fate of many, was only just beginning. The night air was thick with tension. Smoke and sparks rose from the alien base as alarms screamed and red lights pulsed wildly across the walls. The corridors, once pristine and orderly, were now filled with chaos, debris, and frightened aliens scrambling to regain control. But above it all, moving silently across the rooftops, the human girl crouched, her eyes sharp and her mind focused. Behind her, the freed humans followed cautiously, their fear replaced by awe. They had seen her in action, moving faster, smarter, and braver than anything they could imagine. Every step she took, every leap she made, seemed impossible, yet perfectly controlled. She was not just leading them. She was inspiring them. "Keep moving," she whispered. "Don't look back. Stay silent. Follow me exactly." The aliens were not idle. Commander Thrall's eyes glowed with fury as he coordinated the remaining forces. "Do not let her leave. Surround the perimeter. Deploy everything. She cannot escape." Drones hovered at every exit, scanning for movement. Patrols blocked the corridors and rooftops. The alien elite waited at the final checkpoint, weapons ready, energy barriers humming, their eyes glowing with deadly precision. The girl's gaze swept across the base. Every option had been considered. Every escape route had been memorized. And now, the final challenge awaited. The ultimate leap, a move so daring it could either save them all or end everything in an instant. She crouched, calculating the distance, the angle, the timing. The humans behind her watched in silent anticipation. Some were trembling, but she gave them a small nod. One deep breath, one heartbeat, then she sprinted forward. The aliens fired. Energy beams streaked across the night, scorching the ground and walls. She twisted midair, flipping over one patrol and sliding under another, Sparks flew from the barriers as her body moved through the openings with impossible speed. The freed humans struggled to keep up, but she guided them, whispering directions, encouraging them to leap, slide, and roll. Every move was coordinated, every action precise. The aliens shouted, fired, and lunged, but she was always just out of reach. The final wall loomed ahead, taller than any she had faced. Beyond it lay freedom, the darkness outside the base, and safety for the humans she had rescued. She ran, gaining momentum, feeling every muscle coiled and ready. The aliens raised their weapons, ready to fire everything in their arsenal. And then, with a burst of strength and speed, she leaped. Time seemed to slow as she soared through the air, the glow of the base behind her. The patrols frozen in disbelief. Her body twisted mid-flight, landing perfectly on the other side of the wall, just as beams of energy swept across the spot she had just left. The humans followed, each one leaping with her guidance. Some stumbled, some hesitated, but they all made it across, escaping the deadly perimeter. Behind them, the base erupted in chaos. Alarm screamed, patrols shouted, and Commander Thrall's furious voice rang through the speakers. She has escaped. Impossible. She cannot be allowed to live, he roared, slamming his claws against the console. Find her. Hunt her down. But she was already gone. Silent shadows swallowed her as she guided the humans into surrounding terrain, forests, cliffs, and dark valleys where the alien sensors could not reach. She moved like a phantom, always ahead, always in control. As they reached a hidden clearing far from the base, she stopped, looking back at the distant glow of the alien stronghold. The humans gathered around her, faces pale, eyes wide with awe and gratitude. You did it. One whispered. She shook her head, smiling faintly. We did it. All of us. Together. For a moment, silence reigned, broken only by the distant alarms and the faint hum of the base. The humans realized something incredible. They had survived, escaped, and proven that humans could fight even the most powerful alien forces. But the girl knew the mission was not over. The base was still operational, the aliens still active, and the Empire would retaliate. She had shown them strength, skill, and courage, but the real war was only beginning. Commander Thrall was furious. He paced the command room, his glowing eyes scanning every monitor. One human has undone our plans tonight. One human has humiliated our forces. This cannot stand. We will find her. We will crush her. We will show the galaxy the true power of our empire. But even he did not realize the truth. The human girl had changed the rules of engagement. One human, clever, brave, and unyielding, had exposed the flaws in their tactics, the weaknesses in their overconfidence, and the power of determination. The freed humans looked at her with new eyes. They had been captives, helpless and broken, but now they saw hope. They saw the strength of their species, the intelligence, the courage, the ability to fight back. And they knew that she was not just a leader tonight. She was a symbol, a spark that could ignite a rebellion. The girl crouched, catching her breath. Her body ached from leaps, rolls, and evasions. But her mind was sharp, already planning the next steps, the next moves. This was not just survival. This was strategy, preparation, and leadership. In the distance, the alien base continued to blare with alarms. Patrols scrambled, drones hovered, and elite soldiers tried to reorganize. But the girl had shown them something they would never forget. A single human, with skill, courage, and intelligence, could strike fear into the heart of their empire. She turned to the humans behind her. We move at dawn, she said softly. We go further away from their reach. We stay safe. And we prepare for what comes next. The fight is not over, but we have won this battle. The humans nodded, their trust in her complete. They followed her into the darkness, moving silently through the terrain, away from the glowing lights of the alien base, away from the chaos and destruction. For the first time, she allowed herself a small moment of satisfaction. The mission had succeeded. They were alive. The humans were free. And the aliens had learned a lesson they would never forget. But even in that quiet moment, she knew the galaxy was watching, waiting, and planning. This victory was just the beginning. The humans had shown they could strike back. They had shown courage, skill, and determination. and the alien empire had realized that humans were not weak. The final leap had been made. The aftermath was clear, and the stage was set for the next chapter, where humans would rise, rebel, and redefine what it meant to fight against the impossible. As dawn broke over the distant horizon, the girl led the humans further into the shadows, unseen, unstoppable, and unyielding. The night was over, but the story of courage, skill, and human determination was just beginning. The alien base remained behind them, a monument to failure, fear, and underestimation. And the human girl, small but mighty, continued forward, silent, swift, and ready for whatever came next.